Two-reelers is what some of the old silent movies were called. The characters were introduced and the story set going in the first reel, and then in the second came the drama and the complications and the final act. We had the first reel of the story you were about to see a while ago and could have showed it to you then. But something happened that made a second reel necessary. From David Browning now, a report that would have been about one man's passion, but is instead about that passion and about his death.
Hollywood, the place, and Hollywood, the legend, are two very different things. From its very early days, Hollywood, the legend, was where the men were tall and true, the women glamorous, and the endings always happy. But Hollywood, the real place, is often a shock to tourists. There's high crime, there's homelessness, and there's a sense of danger toward nightfall when the shadows lengthen across the stars. This is a story, a mystery really, with a very unhappy ending. A story about a landmark on the edge of Hollywood that to many was a shrine, a sanctuary, a theater devoted to films from a happier time, a time when the stars shined in silence.
They show all the different silence from the teens to the 20s, dramas, adventure, mystery.
The Silent Movie, the only theater in the country showing nothing but silent films. A labor of love for this man, Laurence Austin. You're the manager.
Manager.
You're the MC.
MC.
You're the projectionist.
Projectionist.
What else?
Well, I book the films, do all the bookkeeping, sell tickets, and I sell candy if necessary.
And business was good, thanks to audiences that included many young people attracted to the sound of silence.
They portray the full span of human emotion minus the voice. And it's really amazing. In this age, people probably think that isn't possible, and if you go to these things, you realize that it is.
Another attraction, this man, 84-year-old Bob Mitchell, the organist who could improvise for hours as the films unwound. A child prodigy who played for his first silent movie in 1924.
My mother started me at 4 years old, and I listened to Mozart and Beethoven and Brahms, and I think hearing that over and over and over again made it easier for me to improvise. They said, "You ever compose?" I said, "Oh yeah, lots of things. I regroup cliches."
A typical night at the silent movie would start with a cartoon.
Felix, of course, is an international cartoon character, became famous in the 20s, and is still famous today. I think he has a wonderful personality. Whoever did all the drawing, I think, must have really loved cats and studied cats.
There would be a short comedy or two.
Charlie Chaplin was comedy genius, seems to just go on and on and on, you know. And it's remarkable because when you see some of these films, they were made way back in the teens, 80-some odd years ago.
And the feature attraction. Sometimes a melodrama, sometimes a comedy, sometimes a love story. This night, the film is Drums of Love.
It's a lost D.W. Griffith classic. It hadn't been seen since it was first released in 1928.
A movie made even as the curtain was coming down on the silent era. Mary Philbin, Don Alvarado, Lionel Barrymore.
They were remarkable for what they accomplished. And I feel that likes of those people we will never see again.
As it turned out, we would never see Laurence Austin again. For just 2 days after we last spoke with him, Austin was shot and killed at his beloved silent movie by a holdup man who escaped into the shadows of Hollywood.
Described as very neat, clean-cut looking.
An eyewitness helped police put together a sketch of the gunman. And outside the theater, there was a remarkable outpouring of grief and affection for Laurence Austin, and concern among silent film fans that with him gone, the last silent movie show might never reopen. On a warm winter afternoon, Laurence Austin, who grew up in Hollywood and saw it change from a sunny small town to a place where random violence is all too common, Laurence Austin was laid to rest, alongside many of the silent stars he adored: Theda Bara, Tom Mix, Clara Bow.
The Golden Gate Bridge marks its 65th birthday in just over a week. But there's no talk of any retirement party. This bridge is going to be here for a long time to come. Preserving other architectural treasures from the 1920s and 30s is a labor of love for many people across Points West. Ray Summers of our Portland, Oregon affiliate Coin TV shines a spotlight on one of those projects.
For more than 50 years, Stephen Stone has been going to the movies in Portland. You could even say he lives at the movies. That's because Stone has brought a part of Hollywood home with him, seat by seat, piece by piece, right into his basement.
And here we go down some nice plush carpet. Just feel that nice softness.
Out of a theater?
Yes, yes.
Ever since he started working in this city's Orpheum Theater, he has been salvaging remnants from an era largely thrown away or torn down.
Original stage phones.
Who would you talk to with that?
Hello, Mr. Projectionist. Let's start the movie.
Stone's collection assures him a permanent seat in his own epic hometown story.
It's about 1915 that Portland had the largest number of theaters ever. Then there were different themes like the Oriental and the Egyptian and the Venetian, all these far away, very interesting places that you'd like to visit.
But the glory could not last forever. By the 70s and 80s, most of the downtown movie palaces were destroyed by the wrecking ball. But the neighborhood theaters? Now that's a different story. Richard Beer helped save the Hollywood Theater, one of Portland's most famous landmarks about 3 miles from downtown.
This is one of the very rare occasions, and we believe the only time that it's ever happened in the United States, where the neighborhood was actually named after the theater instead of vice versa. It was pre-radio, very far pre-television. The facade and the marquee were the calling cards for the theater. That's what would get you in.
And the well-known Northwest rain outside ensured a captive audience. At one point, Portland had more movie theaters per capita than any other city in the country. And it didn't hurt that it was just up the coast from the real Hollywood.
Portland was close enough to LA to do a lot of tests and to kind of see if it was going to fly. The old, will it play in Peoria type of a thing.
Will it play in Portland?
Will it play in Portland?
Portlanders will tell you they're good at trying new things, especially when applying it to something old. Just ask Oregon's Bruise brothers, Brian and Mike McMenamin.
A couple of small ones, please. Thanks.
With a little beer and a lot of historic architecture, the brothers McMenamin have brought the glory of going to the movies back to Portland.
I think it kind of started as a novelty because nobody else was doing it.
They called their experiment the Theater Pub, and in 1991, they decided to try it out at the Baghdad. First opened in 1927, what the brothers discovered was a faded but exquisite opportunity.
Original?
Oh, they're original. And we're very lucky because a lot of the old theaters have had the fixtures cleaned out, you know, as they've done conversions over the years.
You know, like any lobby or movie theater is pretty dark, so you really didn't notice all the stuff until we got in here and There's a lot of stuff here. I mean, it's amazing. You don't really see it until you actually get up and start looking at it.
The McMenamins hired artists to restore the theater and started pouring beer to help pay for it all. Now, other theaters are following suit.
The people are there to enjoy the movies and to enjoy the architecture, both, which is the way that the building was originally created.
And so it may be that Portland's epic era is getting a second run.
Well, cheers.
A certain deep red side dish is a traditional part of the Thanksgiving feast, but underappreciated in the view of Chef Bobby Flay.
This year, I've got Thanksgiving's favorite food in my mind, the cranberry. The cranberry is underappreciated and misunderstood, starting with the way it tastes. Take a look at it. It's beautiful. I get the feeling that the cranberry is insulted to only make it to side dish status on the table. Let's give cranberries a chance.
Our cranberries are rich in powerful nutrients.
We see lots of commercials and ads with cranberry farmers standing in what looks like a giant cranberry pond. And because of that, lots of people think they grow in water. In fact, cranberries grow in vines. And when they're ready to be harvested, the vines are cut and the bogs are flooded so the berries can easily be gathered.
I mean, have you ever seen anything more beautiful in your whole life?
Cranberries are on a roll. Since the 1980s, demand for cranberries has skyrocketed, somewhat because of their benefits as an antioxidant, and somewhat because a little cranberry juice stirred with a little vodka created a cocktail phenomenon known as a Cape Codder. I have to admit, my first experience with cranberries was a perfectly shaped cylinder of cranberry sauce that you can actually cut slices out to serve. I still have to buy a can for my cousin Billy if he's coming over for Thanksgiving. But the cranberry wants to be so much more. Start your Thanksgiving with a cranberry martini and a little cranberry butter to slather on your cornbread. For dessert, how about a cranberry pie with cranberry ice cream, a cranberry cheesecake, or even a cranberry trifle? If you're gonna stick with the traditional cranberry sauce, really make it special. Show the cranberries that you care. And cook them with mangoes or figs, crisp apples, or dried apricots. Then sweeten it all with honey, molasses, or my favorite, maple syrup. Slowly cook it all together in a saucepan with a splash of OJ over medium heat and watch the magic of the cranberry's natural pectin bring it all together. The Big Bird may be the main event, but the cranberry is the Thanksgiving gem.
No matter the season, we all take part in the pursuit of pleasure, each in our own way. And although there's an art to enjoying life, it turns out that there's science behind it, too. Our cover story is reported now by Susan Spencer of 48 Hours.
It can be as simple as a sunset.
The glow of sunset in the summer sky.
As decadent as a dessert.
The gleam of love light.
Or as extravagant as a weekend in Paris.
These are the things I love.
But we all have our own little pleasures.
Chocolate and peanuts.
Oh, I love Mexican food.
I'm a Barbie collector. I have like over 100 Barbies.
The rush of cliff jumping when you're up in the air and you're like hoping the water is deep enough and your heart is like beating 1,000 miles an hour and you splash.
Pleasure is an instantaneous feeling of something good.
Professor Gregory Burns, a neuroeconomist at Emory University, notes that some pleasures are no less than a matter of survival.
You know, when you teach a bunch of undergraduates and teenagers like I do, and I ask them to list the things that give them pleasure, sleep is always at the top of the list.
What else is predictably on that list?
Well, so you have kind of the basic needs, right? So you have food, sleep, and sex. Pretty much boils down to that if you're talking about actual pleasure.
But pleasure goes well beyond basic needs. Yale psychologist Paul Bloom says why we enjoy what we enjoy is very complicated.
It seems like we just taste food, we taste wine, we respond to our visceral sensations, but actually it is surprisingly deep.
So deep, in fact, that Bloom was pleased to write a book on pleasure, which he says is as much about our brains as about our experiences.
Our pleasure is a response not just to the physical makeup of something, what it looks like or tastes like or smells like or feels like, but rather to our beliefs about what it really is, what its real essence is.
And boy, can we be fooled. Paul Bloom recalled one experiment with wine drinkers, done by scientists at Stanford and Caltech.
Half the people are told they're drinking cheap plunk. The other half are told they're drinking something out of a $100 or $150 bottle. It tastes better to them if they think they're drinking from an expensive bottle. And it turns out that if they think they're drinking expensive wine, parts of the brain that are associated with pleasure and reward light up like a Christmas tree.
So if I have people over for dinner, I should add a little 1 in front of the price tag and put it on the table.
That is the ultimate trick to making wine taste better.
And it's the sort of trick that works only on human beings.
Both my dog and me enjoy drinking water when we're thirsty, but I'm the one who cares about where the water came from, whether it's bottled water or from the tap. My dog doesn't care.
You're the one that if we put a higher price tag on that bottle of water, you'll enjoy it more.
That's right. I might give my dog premium dog food, but the dog doesn't care that I spent a lot of money for it.
Here we go, $75,000, $80,000, say $100,000 to you, sir.
People, on the other hand, seem to get enormous pleasure out of spending enormous sums on some very curious things.
$32,500 on the right side.
Was Michael Jackson's jacket really worth $1.8 million?
At $42,500
Or how about President Kennedy's tape measure, which went for almost $50,000 at auction? Or Eric Clapton's guitar, snapped up for just under $1 million. Given all that, Paul Bloom wondered what people might pay for the pleasure of owning, say, George Clooney's sweater.
An answer is a fair amount, much more than they'd pay for my sweater or for a brand new sweater.
But why? For bragging rights or to resell on eBay? Apparently not.
So we did an experiment where we tell people, you can't boast about it, you can't resell it, and the value goes down a little bit. But here's what makes the value really drop. We told another group of subjects that we thoroughly washed it before it got to them. Now the value plummets.
Is not still George Clooney's sweater?
As my wife put it, you've washed away the Clooney cooties. you've washed away the sort of essence of the person.
That gives them more pleasure in owning it.
It does.
Human beings are strange.
Human beings are extraordinary.
Some pleasures are universal, like eating these mouth-watering butter and sugar concoctions here at Magnolia Bakery in New York City. This really is sheer pleasure on a plate. But not all of life's pleasures are so straightforward. In fact, if you think about it, some of them are downright weird.
Cheese. Cheese is spoiled milk. It smells bad. But the point is that we get great pleasure out of it, and some people love the stinky cheeses. And part of the pleasure of eating them is that they really smell bad, but they're good.
Psychologist Paul Rosin's studies go well beyond the pleasures of the disgusting to the joy of the downright painful. Take hot chili peppers.
Well, hot chili peppers are eaten by over 2 billion people in the world, and yet this is an innately negative experience. Little babies don't like it. So the question to me was, why would anybody put in their mouth something that produces a pain signal from the mouth to the brain?
His answer? What he calls benign masochism. The same human quirk that explains why we enjoy horror movies that terrify us. Why we like sad songs that make us cry.
It's a sense of your mind over your body. Your body is saying, bad news, get out of here. Your mind knows, I'm actually not in danger. I'm mastering this negative experience, and my mastery of it gives me pleasure.
But there are limits. Just ask those chili pepper people.
What happens is the one that people like best tends to be the one that's just below the level they can't bear. In other words, they're pushing the limit of how hot they can stand it. Similarly with roller coasters, people who love roller coasters will like the steepest and scariest one they can stand.
push your pleasure to that limit, and odd as it seems, odds are you'll want more. So what's the best strategy to maximize life's pleasures?
When something pleasurable happens, this lights up.
Well, this can light up for a couple of different reasons. So
Emory professor Gregory Burns did an experiment that offers a clue. When he gave subjects alternating drops of water and juice, their brain activity showed they preferred the juice. No surprise. But when the juice came at unexpected intervals and was a surprise, they liked it even more. His advice then? Surprise yourself.
you have to take risks, I think, to really experience pleasure. There's a reason why people say the first time is always the best. You know, the first time you experience something, whether it's the first kiss, your first bite of sushi, whatever you like, it's always the best.
When it's really a surprise.
Yep.
So whether it's Clooney's sweater, roller coasters, chili peppers, or something else entirely.
Oh God, chocolate is terrific, you know.
Cupcakes perhaps, or sweets?
Good friends, good beer, and like summertime, without a doubt.
Treasure those pleasures. But remember, there's always room for something new.
So people should just keep pushing the envelope.
I think so. I mean, I try.
I'm going bungee jumping tomorrow, that kind of thing.
Yeah, why not?
Cemeteries have provided a creepy setting for plenty of Halloween horror films. So why on earth would author Allan Gurganus consider them the spice of life?
Every novelist needs a good dictionary and a nearby cemetery. That graveyard can provide you more than your final shelf space. It'll offer historic bullet points, a bird sanctuary, excellent fictitious names, and the lifelong source of such sweet calm. My childhood bedroom in Rocky Mount, North Carolina overlooked Pineview Cemetery. It seemed my own green playground, a bit overdone with white rocks. There, under Magnolia's shelter, adults staged our Easter egg hunts, tucking pastel candy among chalky graves. This helped melt my child's sense of the soft boundaries between salty death and life's brief sugar high. In Pineview, bullies left us little kids alone. We felt defended by mausoleums looming like guardian aunts. One certain tombstone seemed to adopt each of us. Mine told of a boy sailor drowned in the China trade. Leaning back against Billy's tomb at age 8, I coughed down my first cigarette. Here I kissed my first non-family member. Will an early love of burial parks make our own return as honored residents feel somewhat friendlier? When grown, I finally sought a home all my own in another Carolina town. The realtor complained, found you one great Victorian fixer-upper. Problem, damn things cheek to jowl against a colonial cemetery. I'll take it, man. So today I write overlooking the tombs of children, heroes, preachers, and scamps, and several scamp preachers. My beloved boneyard daily unscrolls birdsong while sparing me construction noise. I inventory its stone crosses, its withered roses carved to look that way. Dawn greets marble uprights, then my coffee mugs steam. A signer of the Declaration rests yonder, but I, alive, stay busy here signing this your way. Stones are my bookmarks, graves my footnotes. They help me resurrect the next tale and the next. Cemeteries, being mortal, require defending too. I sure guard mine. And all of us who curate and memorize our nearby plot, we will soon discover how it, in so very little time, will, no questions asked, return the favor. Amen.
During the summer months, more Americans will be on the move from old homes to new ones than during any other season. In another category entirely, Benita Nair tells us, are those who take their homes with them.
At Crystal Bridges Museum in Bentonville, Arkansas.
How high are the ceilings in this grand room?
So close to 18 foot.
They're putting the pieces of a giant puzzle together again. Scott Eccleston is the man in charge.
This is a home that if you grew up in Northwest Arkansas or the Midwest, this is the house that you would have built. And so it was a house for all.
This house for all was designed in 1954 by Frank Lloyd Wright. It used to sit 1,200 miles off in Millstone, New Jersey. It was owned by architects Sharon and Lawrence Tarantino. After years of watching floodwaters threaten their beloved 1,700-square-foot home, they asked the museum to help save it.
Here, door, hardware.
Every detail was documented.
Save that, number that.
Then the home was methodically dismantled and packed into 2 shipping containers.
The next time that I saw this house, you want to talk about your heart beating, it's in millions of pieces. And a house that was so majestic and 3D was all one level, wrapped in plastic, ready to be put back together.
So you couldn't even tell what was what?
No, you couldn't. I mean, that moment, you're thinking, oh my gosh, what have I done? Can we do this?
Every year, an estimated 40,000 homeowners decide to do this, move a home from one location to another. It usually costs between $15,000 and $45,000 to complete and takes anywhere from a few weeks to a few months. Though there are always exceptions.
When you started this, how long did you think it would take?
2 years.
And how long has it taken?
10.
It was 10 years.
You want to ring it?
I do.
Scott and Kelly Bradley bought their Westlake, Texas home on 130 acres of land back in 1977. It was designed by noted architect Charles Dilbeck for Dallas newspaper publisher Ted Dealey. Then, in 1998, the Bradleys sold the land, but wanted to keep their house.
One of the quirks is not really knowing exactly where the front door is when you arrive.
Preservation architect Nancy McCoy devised a plan to move it.
I really didn't think this was going to be a good candidate for a move.
Why not?
It's almost the length of a football field, so you immediately know it's not going to be moved in one big piece.
Neil McMillan, who calls himself the best home splitter in the country, agreed.
You got to put the right piece in at the right time.
He is a third-generation home mover.
And if it's done right and you put it back together, all you're missing is the sawdust of what the saw blade went through.
What's the hardest part about deciding where to divide it?
You want to do it where you do the least amount of damage. Closets is the best place because you can hide the sins.
McMillan says he used a saw blade to split the Bradley home into 7 parts. But before he started, every brick from 8 fireplaces and every stone from 8 porches was removed.
We actually know how much this living room weighs. It weighs 98,000 pounds without the stone on it.
Reconstructing and almost doubling the size of the home using the same techniques as the original architect is what took so much time and money.
The circles are where our daughters would get up and curl up and read their books. And they said
the Bradleys wound up spending $12 million to move their house just 2 miles. That was 7 years ago. This spring, they put it on the market, telling us they're now ready to downsize.
What do you hope the future of this house is?
Well, we hope it lives into eternity.
I hope someone buys it that will do what we've done, love it, share it with the community.
Nurture it.
That's exactly what motivates the folks at Crystal Bridges. Scott Eccleston says they're hoping to finish work by the end of the summer, with each piece fitting just the right way.
Throughout this process, how many times have you heard someone say, y'all are nuts, just build a house that looks like the original?
We've had the conversation, how much easier would it have been just to take the plans and build it from scratch? But every board that goes in, every nail, it's as if Frank Lloyd Wright was sitting in a chair at his drawing table telling you, this is why I did this, and that's how we built this house.
Knowing what you know now, would you have taken this project on again?
I would do this house 100 times over because it's a real honor.
Today is the day for the diehards. Die-hard football fans will be watching every second of Super Bowl 50 later today here on CBS. And mingling with them for our cover story is where you'll find Susan Spencer.
Coach Bill Belichick.
Love him or hate him, until the clock runs out on today's big game, the New England Patriots are still the reigning Super Bowl champions. And diehard fan Peter Carbone has been fired up all season.
Mr. Lighter?
Literally fired up.
I'm usually up around 4, make a cup of coffee, I light a cigar, and once the oven's going, I'm happy.
That's a 6,000-pound wood-burning pizza oven, emblazoned with the logo of his beloved Patriots.
Now we'll get the oven floor between 650 and 800 degrees. Should be perfect.
Perfect and portable. For 5 years, Carbone and his buddy, Rich Caterano, have lugged their lit oven to every Patriots game at Gillette Stadium, which is not exactly down the block.
It's about 60 miles, I think.
60 miles?
Yeah.
You do this for every home game?
Yes, in the playoff games, yeah.
Like obsessed mailmen, nothing deters them from their appointed rounds.
Now, it is pouring outside. It's 38 degrees. Does that put a damper on this at all?
We're actually pleased with the weather today because it could
wind.
be a lot worse.
And for them, nothing's better than this party in the parking lot. Game? What game? They've still got 4 hours to kill.
An honorary fan?
Yeah, you are. We're starting with chicken wings,
Okay.
pizza throughout the day.
Yeah.
We have a raw bar,
Uh-huh.
so we're going to be doing some fresh shucked oysters, lobster, shrimp.
I have this feeling that you go through your week being normal, successful businessmen, and then on the weekends,
On the weekends, all hell breaks
Yeah.
loose. Right? Look at that. Awesome.
Start by just sort of ticking off for me what you see as the traits of the real die-hard sports fan.
Tribal animal, subconscious, instinctive tribal animal.
Author David Ropeek is one of those animals.
Not a conscious thinking, reasoning, oh, aren't we smart human?
And he's written about this tribal behavior. We met him at a New York sports bar, of course. He says rooting for a team is deeply rooted.
No, this is really powerful stuff. We do this in lots of walks of life, by the way.
What kind of a fan are you?
I can be rabid.
Seeking out others who think as we do is just part of the survival instinct.
Gender, location, politics, values, religion, we identify with a lot of tribes, but not so obviously. Sports? Team colors, warriors, songs, history, tradition, we won.
The drive! And scientific research shows that winning can affect fans physically, too.
Today is our day.
Not even couch potatoes are immune.
When our team is doing well during the game, our hormone levels, particularly testosterone, go up. And if our team loses, they go down. There's deep biological stuff going, and that affects mood.
In case you're wondering what a spike in testosterone looks like, this is it. These are New England Patriots fans watching their team win the Super Bowl last year, their 4th win since 2002.
But some 300 miles to the south, here outside Lincoln Financial Field, where the Philadelphia Eagles play, it is a totally different scene. As in, there is no scene. In 50 years, the Eagles have made it to the Super Bowl a grand total of 2 times. And both times, sadly, they've lost. How deep is your love for the Philadelphia Eagles?
It is a deep, abiding, unconditional love. So Sunday isn't a normal day for me during the football season.
But attorney Ellen Santor calls it an abusive relationship, given the Eagles' history.
What is game day like for you?
Well, there's a lot of hope in the morning. Really a lot of hope. Then at the end of the day, I find myself at the bottom of a bag of Cheetos. Like, where did my day go? What's wrong with my life?
And yet, she seems happy being unhappy.
What about switching to some other team that wins occasionally?
It sounds reasonable when you say it that way.
You can't even get your head around it.
Never. I couldn't look myself in the mirror. No.
When she looks in the mirror on game day, she sees a grown woman decked out head to toe in Eagles earrings, an Eagles hair scrunchie from high school, and an Eagles jersey that she's been wearing since her daughter Scout was born 11 years ago.
There was a game that night.
I was fortunate enough to have a hospital that was accommodating and had a TV in the room so we could watch the game while she was being born.
You didn't. Does your daughter realize that she was competing with the Eagles that day?
She does. She has some resentment there.
Today, Scout seems philosophical. What happens on game day?
She watches the Eagles and then they lose.
That's it? What kind of mood is she in?
She's not in a good mood.
She has lots of company. A new CBS News poll finds nearly 4 out of 10 sports fans say they, too, get depressed when their team loses. At least Ellen can turn to her therapist husband, Anthony Centaur.
Let's go watch the Eagles lose.
Who takes sports fan depression quite seriously.
I was in session with a client, and he was telling me that his hockey team had lost the night before, and that since then, he had no appetite, and he felt all around miserable and sad.
Because his hockey team lost.
Because his hockey team lost. But after that day, I started seeing it more often.
He says fans generally recover in a few days or weeks, and some just resort to denial. Author David Ropeek.
Research shows that after your team does well, you say, "We won," first person. "We won the championship." You watch, dude. And if they lose, statistically, a higher percentage will turn to the third person. They're losers, and that ain't me.
So this is Super Bowl Sunday. What advice do you have for diehard fans? Half of them are going to lose.
One thing about these games is they're really emotionally charged. The networks do a great job of making every one of these games seem like the most important thing that has ever happened in the history of mankind. But even if your team loses, 99.9% of the things in your life are still unchanged, and it's going to be okay.
We celebrate love in any number of ways. Steve Hartman takes us to a museum for two.
Around Starkville, Mississippi, retired mail carrier Charles Evans is known mostly for his questionable taste in lawn furnishings. But I came here for something undeniably beautiful.
The man with the plan.
Charles met his wife Louise back in 1949.
When you looked at her, it's whoa, like electrical shock.
Really?
I guess it's love.
To Charles, true love is so powerful, nothing can stop it.
That's a big 4-letter word.
Nothing.
Straighten it out.
Which is why, after she died in 2011, after 60 years of marriage, he decided a grave marker wasn't enough, that their love deserved more than a monument. What their love needed was a museum. And so, in a little outbuilding behind his house, Charles Evans built just that.
This is our memorabilia area.
Inside, he's got the shoe shine stand he was working at when he met her. He's got all the music they used to dance to. And he's got 4 walls packed solid with pictures, documenting every significant occasion.
And this was, we went out to lunch.
And most every insignificant occasion.
This was a different place at lunch.
Different lunch.
And this, she didn't like that one because they caught her laughing with food in her mouth.
Needless to say, he doesn't get a whole lot of visitors, which is fine by Charles.
This is our last dance.
In fact, you get the sense he almost enjoys his alone time more. On slow days, he slow dances with Louise.
I guess I'm trying to relive our life, would you think?
Maybe.
I don't know. It's so hard to explain, you know. But it's not a suffering memory, it's a beautiful memory, you know.
Sometimes people try to tell Charles to move on. But in his mind, why would you want to make a bunch of new memories?
It's us again.
When the old ones are still so good.
Yeah, she was lovely. That's a beautiful picture there, too, see.
Are coloring books just for kids like Emily, Zoe, and David here? They're the offspring of our Sunday morning producer, Gabe Falcon. Well, move over, kids. Rita Braver has the story of adults afflicted with pencil mania.
Once a month, not far from the U.S. Capitol.
Hey guys, we're ready.
A resolute group files into a basement room in a D.C. public library.
I haven't told my family yet. I'll have to break it to them slowly.
And it begins.
We have your pencils, your markers, all of your things here.
Yes, it's a coloring club. Maybe coming soon to a neighborhood near you.
Just mixing colors, that's what I'm good at doing. Yeah, they're great.
That's right, grown-ups with crayons and markers, all part of a craze that's sweeping the whole world, adult coloring books. Believe it or not, they often become the top-selling books on Amazon. These two students actually started coloring back in their native country.
In Korea, it is very popular, the coloring books and coloring pencils. The book called Secret Garden was very popular.
Secret Garden, published in 2013, is credited with starting the whole trend. It's a book filled with elegant and fanciful images, and it has spawned an industry of imitations and variations. At a recent coloring party in Florida, in honor of the Doodlers Anonymous coloring book, adults like Jennifer Kaminsky were proud to be caught up in what used to be known as a childish pursuit.
I don't think you ever grow out of liking to color.
And today, you can color the adventures of Donald Trump or the perfection of Ryan Gosling. There's even a new crop of coloring books devoted to swear words. But most of the colorers we met, and they do tend to be women, agree with Lisa Bono, who says it lets her leave her cares behind. It's like permission to push everything else aside at the moment, and that your main mission in life right now is to color this damn cupcake. Those cupcakes are from the book Color Me Happy, part of a series that has sold more than 2 million copies. Shocking to you?
Very shocking. Who knew?
Lacey Mucklow is the author of the books. While the pictures are drawn by an artist in Wales, Mucklow, a licensed art therapist, provides commentary, telling readers, for example, to use hues that personally increase your sense of happiness and pleasure. What's the biggest hope that you would have from somebody who picks up one of your books and starts to use it?
I hope they find that it helps them in whatever way it is. If it helps them relax and sleep better, great. If it helps them get through a stressful time, wonderful. Coloring can be therapeutic. It has a therapeutic value to people.
Anybody injured? In fact, in Phoenix, Arizona, coloring books provide stress relief to those who answer 911 calls. But artist Steve McDonald begged his publishers not to make any therapy claims for his books.
We weren't setting out to create a mental aid. We were setting out to create a book full of wonderful art that was going to hopefully inspire people to be creative.
And so, in fantastic cities and fantastic structures, his best-selling books, MacDonald has created fabulous kingdoms. So it might surprise you to see where he lives and works, 2 hours north of Toronto. So why does a guy who's known for his urban scenes live here?
I think it gives me, I think if I lived in the middle of a city and drew the city and spent all my time creating artwork of a city, I might go a little bit insane. I fell in love with lines a long time ago.
And though he was once known for paintings and drawings sold in art galleries, he's put that on hold. I think a lot of artists might kind of scoff at this and say, oh, look, he's just selling out here. That's what this is about.
I'm an illustrator. I'm an image creator. I don't have a high and pompous view on where my art belongs or where it should hang. And I think it's wonderful creating original work that hangs over someone's living room walls. I think it's just as legitimate creating imagery that ends up on a sneaker.
Meanwhile, the folks at Crayola, who've been in the coloring business for 113 years, have created special pencils, markers, and books to get even more adults hooked. It is kind of addictive.
It is.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So is that a bad thing, or is that okay?
It's okay as long as it doesn't impair other parts of your life. If you're coloring instead of going to work, that could be a problem.
That could be a problem.
Wednesday marked the 75th anniversary of the New York Times crossword puzzle. A puzzle, we might point out, that's featured all three anchors of Sunday Morning, self-included, as clues. As for the man who has edited the puzzle since 1993, he has the distinction of being a master of wordplay. And as Barry Peterson now reveals, master of a very different sort of game.
Will Shortz's passion is crossword puzzles, and he's world class, editing the daily puzzle in the New York Times. Authoring or editing more than 500 crossword puzzle books.
Solving a crossword is like putting the world in order, and you don't get that satisfaction much in everyday life.
His success has him constantly in demand.
Thanks a lot.
Traveling the world as the renowned puzzle master.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
That should be enough to fill every hour of every day. But he's got another passion. Shortz might describe it as 2 words, 8 letters.
When I'm walking into a club and I hear the sound of ping pong balls, that is one of my favorite sounds in the world.
He started playing as a kid in the family basement, and by high school he was getting good with the trophies to prove it.
1966, I think this was my first ping pong prize.
How old were you?
Let's see, I was 14.
But that same year, the teenaged Shortz sold his first crossword puzzle, and a career was launched. It would be 3 decades later in 2001 when Shortz rediscovered his love of the game. Playing a few games a week evolved into an everyday habit.
It's all levels, all ages, both men and women.
Then in 2011, he opened his own Westchester Table Tennis Center in the New York City suburb of Pleasantville, New York, where he lives. And most nights, there is a never-ending diversity of ages and talents and one shared love.
When you're in a match, you're looking at your opponent's weaknesses and considering your own and trying to maximize your game against the other person.
So there's an intellectual challenge to this. I mean, I think we just think ping pong is getting the ball back to the other person.
Yeah.
Not so easy.
No, it's not.
Today, at age 64, Shortz is ranked in the top 25% of table tennis players over age 60 in the country. Not as good as Kai Zheng, who is among America's top 25 players. Kai's Chinese family wanted him to become an American citizen to train and compete here. And when no other host family would take him in, Shortz did, as guardian and mentor. Who better to help in Kai's dream to someday compete in the Olympics?
On average, I play about 2 hours a day.
And while Kai chases his dream, Will Shortz has a dream of his own. He wants to set a record for the longest consecutive number of days playing table tennis. Call it a challenge, call it an obsession. To date, Shortz has played in more than 250 table tennis clubs around the world.
The smallest club I ever played at was in Goa, India. They had 1 table. It was actually a pretty good facility, but there was no air conditioning, and it was in the summer. So I was just dripping wet after a few minutes.
He is so intent on achieving his goal that a few years ago, Shortz began meticulously planning his travels, mapping out available clubs, even bringing along his own playing partner to make sure he always has an opponent. It was on a trip to Eastern Europe last October where we caught up with him, playing in Schwechat, Austria.
Today is day 1,474 consecutive days of table tennis.
Which meant he'd been playing ping pong every day for more than 4 years.
I'd like to wish you good solving, good luck, and let the games begin.
Then it was on to Senik in Slovakia, where he presided over the opening ceremony of a Sudoku competition for the World Puzzle Federation, an organization he co-founded. The next day, to Vienna and one of the oldest table tennis clubs in Europe. then across the border to Bratislava, and a chance at setting yet another personal record. Shortz wanted to play in 2 countries on the same day. He located 3 clubs, but number 1 was closed, and so was number 2. There was still number 3, but his chances looked doomed because every table was reserved.
So it didn't look like I could play. But I came in anyway, and there were 5 guys who had reserved 3 tables. They needed 1 more person to play, so I lucked out.
Like this?
No, not no, keep it pretty close to the ball. Yeah, that's good.
Back at home, you can always find him back at his club. The exercise part comes from chasing the ball.
Yeah, there's
right?
a lot of that, yeah.
Why is this as relaxing as doing a puzzle?
The reason this is so relaxing, just like crosswords, is that you get completely wrapped up in the game. You forget everything else in the world. And when you're done, you're relaxed, you're refreshed, you're ready to go back to do everything else.
This Sunday Morning makes 1,600 days and counting. A streak so unique, he will one day submit it as a brand new category worthy of a Guinness World Record.
These scrapbooks from a private collection date back to the 1880s. Today, plenty of people still love to cut and paste, moms in particular. Jennifer Mayerly of our CBS station, WCCO in Minneapolis, makes some introductions.
We're looking at a little scrapbook that I made when my grandson was first born.
A quick look around this house says it all. Family means everything.
Family supports each other. You know, we always have a saying at our house that we're all on the same team together.
Linda Kleppe and her husband Glenn raised their 6 kids in Pine City, Minnesota, north of Minneapolis.
I don't want them to forget the little details of growing up in a small town, of growing up in a large family.
So she makes scrapbooks by the dozens.
Did a lot of journaling of the different things we looked for.
Books full of memories.
That was a fun month. That was.
That she hopes her children, like daughter Katie, will appreciate someday. And from buttons and bows to fancy paper, she gets most of her supplies here, the Pine City scrapbooking store.
So, Marnie, it seems like you have something for everyone here in the store.
We try. Marnie Steltz is the owner.
Cardstock, pattern papers, stickers, everything.
The store doubles as a retreat. It's a place where women, moms for the most part, can even stay overnight and scrapbook.
We're not in a rush to get to work, to get the kids out the door. It's be comfortable all weekend, be creative all weekend.
I think he probably made this after he came home.
Okay. The inspiration for the shop comes from a place close to Marnie's heart.
I can't even imagine. He was so young in that picture.
A gift from her father before he passed away, his World War II scrapbook.
I'm so glad he wrote around all of them so you would know who was who, and that's him there.
It's a personal history, a snapshot of time gone by. Part photo album, part journal. Scrapbooks date back to the 1800s.
And even Thomas Jefferson kept scrapbooks.
Ellen Gruber Garvey is the author of A History of Scrapbooking in America.
This is an early 19th century scrapbook. This fellow was.
She says it all started with newspaper clippings.
The press was full of valuable information that was just disappearing, and it was only through making scrapbooks that you would ever be able to find it again.
It was our modern day Google.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
One of our most notable scrapbookers?
Well, Mark Twain is a real standout because he not only kept scrapbooks, but he invented one.
The author and humorist patented a self-pasting scrapbook in the 1870s.
That meant that instead of having to get out the glue pot and maybe heat the glue, animal glue, you could use a Mark Twain scrapbook which had gummed strips on the pages.
As scrapbooking grew in popularity,
so a lot of his are about historical figures and a lot
it came to be a true historical resource.
Who is Alexander Gumby?
Alexander Gumby was born into poverty in the 1880s. He worked in the lunchroom at Columbia. He was a cafeteria worker.
Gumby's collection of almost 300 scrapbooks which he donated to New York's Columbia University, documents what it was to be African American in the early 20th century.
He called this project the Unwritten History.
Ty Jones is manuscript curator.
He was known as Mr. Scrapbook by the 1920s. So they would say that you didn't know Harlem, you hadn't experienced Harlem until you had come to his studio and seen his material.
His scrapbooks meticulously depict the lives of notables like poet Langston Hughes and abolitionist Frederick Douglass.
Many of these will be the only remaining document we have, or the only remaining copy of a newspaper article. So absolutely, these are used by scholars all the time.
As are the scrapbooks of some of the women of those times who defiantly struggled to make their voices heard.
Women's rights activists, they were acting in public, they were speaking in public, they were out there on a platform, and they weren't supposed to be. So they had to keep track of how people paid attention to them. What did people write about them?
Of course, in these digital days, it's easy to see scrapbooks as a quaint affectation of a time past, but not to everyone.
I would like to pass down a legacy of, here's what our family did, here's how we cared about each other, here's how we grew up together.
We read over the scrapbook makers' shoulders as we look at their scrapbooks. We understand what mattered to them, why they saved it. Or we guess at why they saved it, and that digging and guessing is such a wonderful and exciting process.
It's a gift.
It's a gift, yeah. Staying awake is overrated, or so says our Jim Gaffigan.
I love napping, okay? That's right, I'm not a preschooler or in my 80s, but I love a good nap. On a daily basis. I've had many 2-nap days, and those were glorious. A nap is one of the first things I think about when I wake up. It goes, where's coffee? Then, when can I go back into that nice bed? A nap is what I worry about when I can't fall asleep at night. As I toss and turn, all I can think is, this is gonna mess up tomorrow's nap timing. I used to be embarrassed by my daily nap habit. I try to hide it or justify it. See, as a stand-up comedian, it's necessary to peak late at night, so I need to nap during the day. Granted, most of the people in the audience at my shows don't get to nap, and they seem fine. Eventually, I realized I just need a nap. Or, well, I behave like a cranky toddler that has missed his nap. My heroic wife understands this. Sometimes she'll bring up my nap like it's an antipsychotic drug I take. Did you get your nap today? Or, after this, maybe you should go and nap. I've politely asked her to not bring up my nap in front of people I respect. I guess I'm afraid people will think I'm lazy for disappearing and sleeping halfway through the day. Maybe there's an explanation. Maybe I need a nap because I'm from Spain. You see, I'm just having a siesta. I knew there was a reason why I love churros.
I don't know about you, but I could use some caffeine. How about a quick espresso with Seth Doan?
The vibrant southern Italian city of Naples seems to run on espresso.
It's a very exciting city.
Is any of that due to its love for coffee?
Yes.
This is packed in here.
It's like a temple.
And coffee here is like a religion. Caffè Gambrinus was established before Italy was, back when Naples was a kingdom.
We're talking about coffee, it's just like talking about the pizza, It's part of our tradition. And it's part
Marcello Uzzi offers high-end tours of his city and says this is a regular stop. Espresso, simply called coffee here, takes about 30 seconds to brew, a little less than that to drink.
Okay, please, next time, take your time.
Moreno Faino works for Italian coffee powerhouse Illy.
How many cups of coffee do you think you have in a day working here?
Roughly 10.
He says it's a real shame to simply knock it back.
Think about what happened before the 50 beans were selected. How many people was involved in preparing the right cup of espresso, and then you have to appreciate the balance, the right level of bitterness and the sourness and the sweetness.
Uno medio, uno piccolo.
There's so much to know that Illy developed a university of coffee at its headquarters in the northeastern port city of Trieste.
There are more than 140 rules that can affect the final result in the cup.
16 grammi.
Yes, rules. Barista Stefano Giannini is a sort of coffee professor at Illy.
What exactly is espresso? If you consider from Latin expressum, it means under pressure. This is the way we extract the coffee.
Italians invented this highly calibrated method of preparation. But first, the beans must be roasted and ground just right, an art in itself. Illy imports coffee beans from about 24 different countries, and at any given time has around 100,000 bags of it on hand. That is enough to brew more than 650 million cups of coffee. That seems just about enough to fuel the city of Naples. Which brings us back
Hi, Seth. Hey. How are you?
to Marcello Uzzi.
This is your local spot?
Yes, this is it.
There is a bit of competition here among different Italian cities. Who has the best coffee?
How can you compete with our coffee? It's impossible.
Cheers.
Indeed, espresso is brewed under pressure with a fair dose of passion and pride.
You see.
Meet Heckle and Jekyll. They're pigeons. Probably as close to ornithology, the study of birds, as many of us city dwellers get. Thank heavens for people like David Sibley, who, as Rita Braver shows us, has lived a life that's truly for the birds.
In the hedgerows and hayfields of Deerfield, Massachusetts,
hearing a lot of birds right now.
David Allan Sibley can't help talking about the wonder of birds.
They communicate with each other through sight and sound.
Kind of like we do?
And the same way, yeah, the same way we do. So everything they do is accessible to us.
And the driving force of David Sibley's life is to make birds accessible to us, sketching and painting everything from songbirds and swallows to penguins and puffins.
This is the tufted puffin that's found in the Pacific, and this is called rhinoceros auklet, a rhinoceros horn on its bill.
We're talking thousands and thousands of bird illustrations, each wing, each feather carefully crafted. You never said to yourself, I don't care if I ever draw another chickadee again?
No, I didn't. It's sort of like one foot in front of the other, just a faith in the process, like knitting or something else, where it's just, it becomes sort of routine.
It has been a routine with a goal, to write and illustrate detailed field guides covering more than 800 species to help birdwatchers properly identify what they are seeing. That just looks like a robin. Is that a robin?
No, that's a black-headed grosbeak.
Oh, no. First published in 2000.
Each species arranged in a column. The brightest plumage at the bottom, the drabbest plumage at the top.
The Sibley Guides to Birds have sold more than 2 million copies, and he's been called the most important illustrator of birds since John James Audubon or Roger Torrey Peterson.
Previous field guides had fewer illustrations, so they left out a lot. Different ages, different subspecies. I wanted to illustrate every species in flight because that's what birders see. Just starting to build it right up there.
Now 57, David Sibley learned to love birds by going out on hikes with his father, Fred, a noted ornithologist at Yale.
As soon as the field guide came out or was in the works, yes, I became much less well-known.
You're kind of the bird people of North America.
I guess it's our family business. It's an unusual family business, but it is the family business.
David started drawing birds at age 8, And his parents didn't worry for an instant when their son dropped out of Cornell to pursue his passion and study birds in the field.
His reason, very valid, was that Cornell has a set track that you follow in your major, and that didn't leave time for looking at birds or painting birds.
David Sibley would spend 14 years driving around the country, observing and sketching, always utterly fascinated by birds.
I really like the shapes, the proportions, the smooth lines, each species so perfectly adapted to its own lifestyle.
Along the way, he met his wife. Do you think you would have been happy with someone who wasn't as into birds as you are?
No, I don't see how that could have worked.
Here comes maybe a goldfinch coming across, the little dot moving across the field.
Yes, David Sibley's wife, Joan Walsh, is an ornithologist too.
Take it down and try and see movement, and then
Here comes one right across.
Oh, yeah.
There. Oh, indigo bunting.
Oh, sweet.
And in 1988, it was she who really pushed him to fulfill his lifelong dream of writing a field guide.
I said, you know, you can keep talking about it, or you can just say you're doing it. And so he did, and then he stood up and he fainted.
Is that true? David, did you really faint?
We were in a hot tub.
We were in a hot tub.
He would spend years working on the guide, but when publishers saw it, they went wild.
To walk into a room with a publisher and have them say, yes, we'll do it, in 5 minutes was, I guess, a very unusual experience.
In fact, Sibley's first volume hit the New York Times bestseller list. He followed it up with a series of other popular books about birds. And whether it's in his art or the delight that comes when he watches birds at his backyard feeder,
A chipping sparrow, 2 chipping sparrows now.
David Sibley says he's still learning about his favorite topic. What are some of the questions you're trying to answer?
Can birds smell? Where do birds...
Can they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they can smell very well. Where do birds sleep?
How do they hold on?
Perch. They balance
In their
all night
sleep?
while they sleep.
Are you just making this up?
No, it's all true.
So stay tuned. His next book is called What It's Like to Be a Bird. And who should know better than David Allan Sibley?
Hear all about it. Audiobooks are all the rage among the stay-at-home set. Our David Pogue invites you to lend him your ears.
Rumor has it that you might have a little extra time at home these days, and I've got just the thing to fill it. Listening to books. Now, in the old days, they were called books on tape. They weren't very compact. In fact, even books on compact disc weren't very compact. One Harry Potter book takes 17 of them. And then this happened.
Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive were proud to say that...
Suddenly, the smartphone made audiobooks so convenient that this happened.
Double-digit revenue growth year after year. Over 45,000 new audiobooks recorded last year alone. $1 billion in sales.
I call my house the house that books built. It's a nice living. And seeing the multitudes.
Meet Scott Brick, audiobook superstar. They call him the man with the golden voice. He's recorded Jurassic Park, In Cold Blood, Alexander Hamilton, and 900 other books.
It's not something people do in life, to read continuously for 8 hours.
No, it's true. People say to me, I'm interested in doing audiobooks. What should I do? And I say, well, grab something at random, go sit in your closet and just read out loud for 8 hours. And if you feel like doing it again tomorrow, give me a call. Hallowed be thy name.
Earlier this year, we found Brick recording a classic bestseller, the Bible.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. I've had Lyft drivers say, have we met? I hear your voice, I feel like I know you. I've had women who said, I'd take you to bed every night with me. 6 minutes from now, one of us would be dead.
But nobody's a bigger fan of Scott Brick's narration than best-selling author Brad Meltzer.
Scott has an amazing baritone. He makes me sound handsome, more muscular. He makes me sound like I have hair.
There's no such thing as a perfect kiss, but this one's definitely in the running. She murmurs.
Do you hear his voice as you're writing?
I always put an accent just to see if he can do it. You know, you'll hear someone who has a Bulgarian accent in the book, and you're like, oh, that's an interesting thing to describe. No, that's just me trying to see if Scott Brick can pull it off in the audiobook.
These are supposed to be clean room conditions. You know how much time and money you just cost us? He shouts, raging forward.
People say, oh, why don't you read your own book? I can't do 30 voices. I can't do scenes of someone's death and make you come to tears. A good reader can do that.
The very best readers come here every year to the Audie Awards, the industry's highest honor. This year, they were hosted by our own Mo Rocca.
Here I am in this fabulous venue, and Stephen King is here.
Once money, fame, and prestige came to the humble audiobook,
Oh, no, declared the Scarecrow.
Plants were like people.
it didn't take long for Hollywood to notice.
In the beginning, I had competition, but not anymore.
I read the complete autobiography of Malcolm X as told to Alex Haley, and it was incredible.
The story ends.
Lawrence Fishburne's resume is full of credits from Broadway, TV, and movies.
You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland.
But now he can add audiobook narrator.
I could, for the first time, pick up a book and read and now begin to understand what the book was saying.
I've noticed that more and more recognizable names from Hollywood are starting to record audiobooks. And I'm just wondering, what's the attraction?
Everything. I have been blessed with what I've been told is a wonderful speaking voice.
Oh, it's incredible, dude.
And so, if I can use my speaking voice to tell stories that inspire people, that lift them up, that brighten their day,
wow,
that's a gift.
Is it acting?
Yes, of course. If I was not reading in the library, I was reading on my bunk. You couldn't have got me out of books with a wedge.
I do remember walking out of the first recording I did as just a narrator, thinking that was the most taxing physical experience I've ever had. And I've, trekked into pulp.
Then why didn't you raise any of these concerns?
Jesse Eisenberg played Mark Zuckerberg in the movie The Social Network.
Mr. Zuckerberg, do I have your full attention?
No.
And Lex Luthor in Batman vs. Superman. But now he's pushing the definition of an audiobook.
And I've been thinking about this criticism, and I'm sorry to say this, but I don't fully agree with you.
He's written a 3-character audiobook, audio play, audio novel called When You Finish Saving the World.
Like as a metaphor. It marries my two favorite things more acutely than anything else I could think of, which is, writing fiction and performing.
Wow. And plus, you don't need to dress up or take a shower. You can just...
It's perfect for me, because I barely do either one, except when I'm appearing on CBS.
We're deeply honored.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I know what it feels like to work for someone else.
What's also new about Eisenberg's project is that he wrote it expressly for audio, not for print. It's called an Audible original. Audible.com is the big kahuna of audiobooks.
Is there a prestige value these days to having been a reader for some of these books? Is it cool?
Yes. I think actors, and I'm certainly one of them who do a lot of Hollywood-style movies, I think for a lot of them, you feel like you also want to be involved with the kind of small things that you're a fan of that don't get as much attention.
For now, audiobooks are getting a lot of attention. And by the way, you don't have to pay money for them. You can download audiobooks from your library. And one more thing, there's no shame in listening to a book.
You're still getting the story. You're getting exactly what the author wanted you to get.
But what about that whole thing about you, Scott, are depriving me of letting my brain imagine what they sound like?
I want to do just enough to keep your imagination muscle working.
Yeah.
My job is to get the author's story across.
Right.
Job one. If I've done that, then anything else is gravy.
It's a love affair that began on October 15th, 1951. And 7 decades later, her legend continues to grow. We asked Jim Axelrod to find out why we still love Lucy.
On a Hollywood lot, where one of America's biggest stars ever first filmed her groundbreaking show, a young artist named Yolanda Glass has been hard at work.
One of the workers who came by, who worked on the lot, he looked up and he was like, "Lucy would be proud of this." I can't describe how encouraging that felt.
Yes, count this 30-something among the millions who 70 years after the premiere of I Love Lucy still love Lucy. Still love Lucille Ball stuffing her mouth to keep pace at Kramer's Candy.
So why don't you join the thousands of happy, peppy people and get a great big bottle of Midget.
Still love her getting drunk pitching a health tonic that's 23% alcohol. Still love her going mime for mime with Harpo Marx. Almost. And still find Lucy both relevant and influential.
There wouldn't be a myriad of the female and people of color who are comedians out right now without her foundation.
The 180 episodes over 6 seasons on CBS followed the madcap adventures of Lucy Ricardo and the trouble she whips up trying to break out of her mid-century middle-class life. Married to Cuban bandleader Ricky Ricardo, played by her real-life husband, Desi Arnaz.
Yes, I love Lucy, and Lucy loves me.
Nowhere is the hold the show still has on the public easier to see than in Jamestown, New York, where Lucille Ball was born 110 years ago, and where 2 museums celebrate I Love Lucy, featuring replicas of the show's iconic sets.
All I think about is the amount of extraordinarily well-done physical comedy that took place here.
This is so evocative.
Journey Gunderson is the executive director of both the Lucy Desi Museum and the National Comedy Center.
70 years later, why is Lucille Ball still relevant?
I think in some ways, Lucille Ball's legacy can be appreciated now through a 2021 lens, perhaps better than it ever has been able to be appreciated.
Start with I Love Lucy's enormous popularity.
Ricky, this is it.
This is
it. The episode in which Lucy gave birth on January 19th, 1953, reached 44 million viewers.
That I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States.
That's 15 million more than the next day when Dwight Eisenhower was sworn in as our 34th president. Lucy and Desi marked new territory for television, still evolving as a cultural institution. She was the all-American girl. He was a Cuban-born transplant. For its time, controversial casting that Lucille Ball insisted on.
Oh, Ricky!
She risked everything.
Remember, this was more than a decade before the height of the civil rights movement.
I think America raised its eyebrows, but then they quickly started laughing.
Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz were TV pioneers in an impressive list of other ways as well. The laughter was so loud when they filmed, it was recorded and used for other shows, helping to launch canned laughter as a standard production technique. That show where she gave birth capped TV's first ever pregnancy plotline on a Big 3 network sitcom.
It was still taboo for a woman who was pregnant to be out in the open in front of everyone.
And when Lucy needed some time off post-delivery, Desi offered up a first that changed the Hollywood business model forever. Just repeat some episodes that had already aired.
Desi Arnaz, father of reruns?
Yes, and the story goes that CBS executives laughed at him and said, who's going to want to watch them after they aired?
It turned out everyone would, which is why 70 years later, Lucille and Desi are still cultural icons.
I care about what's funny.
The subject of that new Aaron Sorkin movie being the Ricardos with Nicole Kidman and Javier Bardem.
No.
And a novel, The Queen of Tuesday by Darren Strauss.
She was famous to a degree that hadn't existed before her, really.
While intrigued by her immense public appeal.
When they'd cut to commercial, the water tables would drop in the big cities because the entire country was going to the bathroom at the same time.
Strauss found her private pain most compelling.
Look at this face, though.
Yeah.
That's not acting.
Yeah, that's great, right? She and Desi were perfect together except for the fact that they weren't. She loved him, he loved her, and yet they couldn't live together.
On camera, Desi was an understanding, loving husband. Off camera, he was an alcoholic and a womanizer.
She knew she couldn't divorce him because that would let the country down. That's how powerful that bond was for us. It was like a civic bond.
In his novel, Strauss gives Lucy love in the form of an affair with his own grandfather.
And I wanted to give her a love story of her own. That's why I told the story in this way.
But that's fiction. The fact, Lucy and Desi did eventually divorce. Both remarried. But most poignantly,
if we asked her at the end of her life, who was the love of your life?
Desi Arnaz, absolutely.
At the root, they were connected by their souls. Yeah.
Kate Luckenbill agrees, and she should know.
We had a very special bond.
She's their granddaughter.
Your grandparents did remain in love until the end of their lives?
Uh-huh. Completely. Madly. Deeply.
Now the head of creative direction at Desilu, the studio founded by her grandparents. That's right. Years after I Love Lucy, Lucille Ball greenlit shows like Star Trek, The Untouchables, and The Twilight Zone. The keeper of the I Love Lucy flame.
There's a healing quality to that show. That's what I feel I'm here to do, is to remind people of the elixir that they brought the world.
Luckenbill is protective of the memory of her grandfather, who died in 1986 at the age of 69, and her grandmother, who died 3 years later from an aortic aneurysm at 77. But she also wants to look at them honestly.
Better we allow the illusion to move aside and let's deal with the reality.
Yeah. And why it's so important not to let people like that die in their 70s from a heart explosion and alcoholism. Because neither of them should have been gone. They died of sadness and trauma, both of them.
No Hollywood ending, perhaps, but what Lucy and Desi did give the world still has an extraordinary impact 70 years later.
That was like the first time I got to see a female being funny and silly and embarrassing, and it was cool.
Just ask this young artist.
I feel like when I was really little, there was this idea that you have to be polite and quiet as a woman. And when I watched her show, that was the first introduction of you don't have to be quiet. You could be funny, you could be loud, and it was okay.
And guess what? America's gonna love it.
Right, and they're gonna love it so much, we're gonna be on for decades. And people in my generation, the next generation, and the next generation are gonna know.
Now comes a story from Martha Teichner, which can best be described as puzzling.
You are about to engage in Pancake Pictionary.
We're trying to communicate with our table using only pancakes.
Say what?
We have to communicate to them this name, Hermione Granger from Harry Potter, without words, without spelling, just pancakes.
It was January 2020, before COVID, that I met A.J. Jacobs.
The puzzles come in all shapes and sizes.
Overgrown kid and puzzle nerd doing research.
1, 2, 3.
Yes!
Yes, research for his new book.
Another fairy godmother.
Isn't that with an arrow to her head? One more pancake and we got this.
This, believe it or not, is MIT, home of the MIT Mystery Hunt. The prize? A coin hidden somewhere on campus. But the prize isn't really the point.
This is the granddaddy of all puzzle hunts. It's been going on for 40 years, and there are 2,000 people, over 50 teams. So it's like Ironman triathlon for the brain.
Silly, you say?
All right, so AJ...
The storyline for the 2020 hunt involved goings-on at an imaginary fairy tale-themed amusement park. The solution to one puzzle was a clue to the next. Hundreds of different ones.
Rubbing his nose. This is part of the puzzle. You can't solve the puzzle without rubbing
his nose.
For more than 2 years, I tagged along with A.J. Jacobs on his puzzling adventures, even though I'm terrible at puzzles and games.
I've never played with a Rubik's Cube before in my whole life. I don't know what it means to solve it.
To solve means every side is just one color.
During the worst of COVID, we dropped in via Zoom.
It's moving so fast it's sort of blurry.
On Daniel Rose Levine, a Rubik's Cube whiz, then 17, holder of several world's records.
So timer on.
You saw it.
How many seconds?
47 seconds.
Wow.
With his feet.
Okay, that goes there.
AJ being AJ, he had to try this Rubik's variation, the star minx.
That is messed up.
He never solved it.
Yep, and now it's broken.
Why are you so fascinated with puzzles?
Puzzles to me are all about curiosity. And curiosity to me is the most important human value we have. Without curiosity, we'd be nowhere.
A.J. Jacobs likes slotting himself into his subject matter. For one of his books, he read the entire Encyclopedia Britannica. For another, he followed the Bible to the letter.
Here I am in the great Vermont corn maze, 100% lost.
So, of course, he had to attempt, possibly, the hardest corn maze in the country.
Here is the bell of frustration, and I am frustrated.
It took him nearly 4.5 hours, but he made it out.
So you picked up quite a cheap chess set, huh?
Like a real-life Forrest Gump. Amateur AJ sat down with chess grandmaster and former world champion Garry Kasparov, now an outspoken critic of Vladimir Putin.
Can offer him many that cannot be solved by any grandmaster.
I want to see some of those.
They're talking about chess problems, super difficult, counterintuitive scenarios.
Studies help you to understand the geometry of the board.
Right.
Sometimes, it's like Alice in the Wonderland. So yes, you move in one direction, but you end up in the other direction.
My book kind of covers how life imitates puzzles and problems.
It's basically the same as you learn from chess, because life is about making decisions.
Simple as that.
Yeah, exactly.
Simple. Ha!
These pegs, you have to turn not 100 times, not 1,000, not 1,000,000, 1.2 decillion times. That's 1 with 33 digits after it.
Look at this contraption, named after AJ. Jacob's Ladder.
Literally impossible to solve.
So why try?
Well, that's what I love about it. It represents the joy of trying. It's about the journey. And to me, it's a great metaphor for what puzzles should be.
That journey included a trip to see one of the most famous unsolved puzzles in the world.
It's been a long time.
A kind of puzzler's holy grail. Even getting a look at it is almost impossible because it's located at CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia.
There it is, Cryptos.
It's called Cryptos and involves codes.
There is a solution that's kept sealed here.
Randy Burkett is one of the CIA's historians.
Part 1 starts at the top left on this side. This is the encrypted section. And it flows through 1 and 2. 3, it falls below the rivets there. And 4 is at the very bottom.
Since it was unveiled in 1990, 3 of its 4 sections have been solved.
I tried to memorize the first one. Between subtle shading and the absence of light lies the nuance of illusion.
He misspelled illusion on purpose with a Q for the second L.
Occlusion.
What are the chances that this is all, at the end, a huge joke?
That chance is there.
It's enough to drive you crazy.
This is the position of the bolts here.
The puzzles A.J. Jacobs loves. they're all really complicated. As he says, just like life.
It's like Mount Everest, but for the mind. You know, this is like millions of human hours of labor, all to crack this. And in some sense, that's absurd, but in some sense, I think it's inspiring.
Soon on display at the Smithsonian in Washington, a new exhibit devoted to pop culture's impact on our history. John Dickerson shares a few coming attractions.
Enter the Smithsonian National Museum of American History in Washington, D.C. later this week, and you'll be greeted by two friends.
How do people react around them?
Well, I can describe my reaction.
What was your reaction?
Stunned.
John Troutman is a Smithsonian curator.
These are essential characters in my life.
Artu, what are you doing here? Well, I can see you're serving drinks, but this place is dangerous.
They have deeply impacted my soul.
The R2-D2 and C-3PO from Star Wars Return of the Jedi are part of the Smithsonian's new exhibition, Entertainment Nation, Nación del Espectáculo, a bilingual examination of 150 years of U.S. history through its music, sports, and moving images.
In our larger American story, what do you think Star Wars did for us?
That's a great question, and I think that it was top on the mind of George Lucas. He had begun writing the first film in 1973, and of course, in 1973, a lot was happening in the United States. The U.S. was, still deeply involved in the Vietnam War. He was concerned about the future of the Republic.
Even our escapes from history are a part of our history, says museum director and historian Anthea Harding.
Popular culture tells us many things about ourselves, who we want to be, how we treat our children, how we treat our elders.
And sometimes the more than 200 different objects speak with each other.
The same year Star Wars came out was the same year of Roots.
In the same year, America was captivated by a fantasy and a brutal reality. In 1949, in the same year Jackie Robinson was setting records on the base paths, he was also called to testify against a friend in a congressional witch hunt for communists in the entertainment business.
We can win our fight without the communists, and we don't want their help.
Not all of the objects are challenging. Many are just a delight. There's Mr. Rogers' sweater, the signpost from MASH, and Howdy Doody. Others are trophies of triumph. Oprah's gold-plated microphone, Billie Jean King's Battle of the Sexes tennis outfit, and objects of genius, like Prince's guitar displayed alongside a hands-on replica.
It came to us in 1993. Prince gave it to us himself.
Music curator Crystal Klingenberg says the yellow guitar was white in the film Purple Rain and was repainted repeatedly to match Prince's ever-changing looks.
The guitar has 7 layers of paint, and we have a variety of colors all the way through down to the white.
Place Prince in popular music for us.
Prince is a fascinating character who really married not only the mystery and the sexuality of the rock star, but also the virtuosity of the composer and of the musician. I've got to ride. There's something about seeing the real deal in front of you that can transport you in time and place.
And even help visitors imagine what might have been. Included in the collection is the outfit Selena wore to the 1994 Tejano Music Awards, a year before she was murdered in 1995 at age 23, and at the height of her career, by the founder of her fan club.
Selena becomes not only this story of incredible talent and promise, but also the tragedy of all of that promise gone too soon.
No item speaks to visitors more than the ruby slippers worn by Judy Garland in the 1939 MGM classic, The Wizard of Oz.
We see people crying when they see them because they're very meaningful to them in childhood, perhaps, or because they're just so invested in the story as well.
Give them back to me or I'll... It's too late. There they are, and there they'll stay.
And when they were temporarily placed off display for a few months this year as we were building the new exhibition, all havoc ensued. Where are the ruby slippers? Why aren't they on display right now? But fortunately, now they are on display for 20 years.
By then, many of the visitors will need a parent or grandparent to explain why certain items are so important, to explain how simple objects could unlock a kid's imagination about what he might do in the future. An object, say, like this one.
Talk about a special gift for the holidays. One big-ticket item that seems to be on a lot of lists this year is the pickup truck. Why are they so popular? With Lee Cowan, let's go for a drive.
More and more and more cars.
We Americans have long had a crush on our cars.
Some trucks are good for only one thing, rough work.
But when it comes to a really committed vehicular relationship, well, it's the pickup truck that sets our hearts aflutter. Turns out things like towing capacity and payload can really get the motor running.
Bring all the gifts for under the tree. And while you're at it, bring the tree.
Trucks represented about 20% of U.S. sales this year. That's a tad more than cars. In fact, pickups account for the top 3 of the 5 best-selling vehicles.
Take Ford's F-Series. It's been America's best-selling truck for over 4 decades.
Just how important are they to Ford's bottom line? We asked CEO Jim Farley.
F-Series is the second most valuable consumer product by revenue behind the iPhone. It is enormous. This is the modern horse. It's your reliable partner you can do work on, you can have fun with, you can kind of go anywhere. It just fits an American lifestyle.
Pickups are the most popular in the states you'd probably expect: Texas, Wyoming, North Dakota, and the like, where construction, ranching, and hauling are a way of life. But there are plenty of coastal pickups now, too.
Look at this, though.
We'll steer clear of pickup politics here, but suffice it to say that you can't get sales numbers that big by selling pickups in red states alone. It's millennials, according to J.D. Power, who buy the most new trucks these days, and yes, some have no desire to haul anything more than a bag of groceries.
Oh, actually, that was supposed to be for me.
I love it.
I don't need them for anything. I could drive anything. I just get it. I just drive it, getting from point A to point B.
The number of women interested in pickups has been growing almost every year, too.
Do you need a truck, or you just like the way they look?
I like the blue one.
The mid-sized truck market is heated up too, like Chevy's Colorado, Ford's Ranger, GMC's Canyon. They may look smaller, but they can be just as capable.
Introducing the all-electric Chevy Silverado.
And of course, all-electric pickups are no longer a fantasy anymore. While they're far from a farmer's friend just yet, it is another sign that pickups aren't going anywhere.
But when it comes down to the question of why, just why do we love something with 4 wheels and a bed so much? Well, it turns out that's a lot like asking people, why do you like hot dogs at baseball games? Pickups are Americana. And just like hot dogs, you better not get between a hungry fan and their mustard.
I've seen more bar fights over what truck you drive than I've seen anything else. I mean, it's competitive, right? There's no country song about a Camry.
That's Tim Esterdahl, publisher of Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, who says buyers seem especially keen on the idea of keeping up with the Joneses pickup.
We want bragging rights, right? So, you know, when Ram came out with their new truck, heavy duty, that has 1,000 foot-pounds of torque, the sign was 15 feet high with numbers, 1,000 pound-feet of torque, you know. And I mean, you want to buy that truck and say, yeah, I got 1,000 foot-pounds of torque, you know. I'm never going to use it. I have no idea how to use it, but I got it.
That's the Ram 1500 TRX. You likely won't be boulder crawling on the way to drop your kids off at school. Nor will you be flying over traffic like this. But you've got to dig deep to own one. They start around 80 grand. GMC's all-electric super truck, the Hummer EV, costs over $100 grand. You might not need all of its off-road capability, but to people like Rika Williams, that's not the point.
It's not about what you need. It's about what you like, what you enjoy, what you deserve. Okay? And you know what, honey? I deserve this.
The biggest capacity many trucks boast of these days is the amount of luxury in tow.
I was at a press conference once for Ram. They're launching a new truck, and I went to the CEO and he's done. I said, I didn't know you were talking about a full-size truck or a Chanel handbag.
Quilted leather, heated steering wheels, panoramic sunroofs are all riches of the modern truck that have some old-school Texas ranchers like Pat Mackey scratching their farmer's tan.
I mean, I've never seen anybody stand up in the sunroof and rope a cow on the top of one, so I don't think you need a sunroof and all that stuff in there.
While big may be better on a ranch, maybe not in traffic. Some of the biggest trucks these days have grills so blunt and so high, critics worry they create a blind zone, dwarfing bicyclists, pedestrians, and especially children.
They look like they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year, are they?
Well, over time, they have gotten bigger.
Yeah.
The cabs grew, 2 rows of seats, better for families and transporting people.
That's Ford executive Ted Canis, who points out that many of today's trucks, including Ford, have technologies like pre-collision assist with pedestrian detection and automatic emergency braking. All pretty high-tech stuff for a truck.
Dodge gives you toughness, traction, and a ton of know-how in 4-wheel drive.
The trucks we used to know were as homely as a hound dog. Dents were character. Rust offered a two-tone look. And the dash, well, that was just a place for smokes. As our longtime Sunday morning humorist Roger Welsh once observed.
Most of the stuff in real pickup trucks should be unusable or unidentifiable. Real pickup trucks have things growing in the bed or in the cab.
Our 3/4-ton Chevy Cheyenne is actually pulling 187 tons on this level road.
That legacy is still present. Trucks remain the symbol of Dust Bowl determination. But these days, you can dress them up or dress them down, drive up walls or drive down Wall Street.
This is great.
Not bad for something Henry Ford once envisioned as simply a way to haul some hay.
Way to go.
Many a movie trailer promises a thrill a minute, but a growing audience is looking for just the opposite. David Pogue provides the proof.
When you picture a modern video game, you might assume that it involves shooting, or racking up points, or at least winning. But in fact, some of the most popular games these days look like this.
A little to the left is a game where you sort, stack, and tidy up the house.
No timer, no opponents, no losing. They're called cozy games or simulation games. Forget about war games like Call of Duty. This one's more like Call of Dirty.
This game is called Unpacking. And what you do in this game is unpack.
There's also Lawn Mowing Simulator. Fish Keeper. American Truck Simulator.
And then there's airplane mode. It's a flight simulator where you're not the captain, you're a passenger in coach.
This is your captain speaking. We've been notified by air traffic control that our landing to Halifax has been delayed.
Not fight and flight, not adrenaline pumping, but rather tend and befriend type of games where you're relaxing, you're hanging out, you're doing
Kelly Dunlap is a psychologist and a game designer.
no pressure.
Do you have any ideas about why they seem to be catching on now?
Well, I don't know if you know, but there was this thing that happened in 2020 where everybody's lives got completely flipped upside down, and the chaos rock we're on just got even more chaotic. And so for a lot of people, normalcy, control, predictability were things that were missing since 2020. And so we're finding games that are tapping into those needs that are not being met in our day-to-day lives.
Is there something to the ease of mastery of these games? I mean, you're playing inside of 5 minutes.
Yeah, when we see something that it's simple and it's really easy to understand. We went from here to here. It went from clean to dirty. It went from rough to smooth. Yeah, that definitely itches parts of our brain that want to know that we as humans have autonomy and that our decisions matter.
Believe it or not, it gets weirder. Instead of playing these games, some people like to watch other people playing these games.
This is such a surreal thing that we're seeing. When Power Wash Sim came out, it peaked the top 10. So we know that it was competing with the big dogs.
Mary Kish is the head of community at Twitch, the website where 31 million people a day go to watch other people play video games.
We're looking for salt, boys. It's really fun watching someone who's really good at a video game play it.
Mary is doing triple duty for this interview. She's a Twitch streaming star, she works at Twitch, and she's a fan of cozy games.
Oh, my oven's dead. That's why. Okay, I got it.
How does it feel to fail a pizza making simulation?
You don't fail pizza, you learn pizza.
Oh! I can understand the pleasure and the relaxation of playing these games.
Yeah.
Why would someone go on Twitch and watch someone else do it? I don't get it.
One of the reasons is that you want to try before you buy. Before I spend $20 on a game, it's kind of nice to watch a streamer play it for an hour. But that's just one half of the story. You were watching this mundane activity being taken out by a person that's extremely charismatic and charming, and you're probably there for them more than that game.
According to Kelly Dunlap, the simulation games would be fun to play even for someone who does the same work in real life.
They're idealized worlds. I show up, I power wash, and I go home. I don't have to worry about billing or taxes or showing up late or there being a kink in the hose or, whatever it is.
To test that theory, I invited Juan Salazar, who owns a landscaping and power washing company, to try a simulator.
That's a nice van. I don't know why they never clean it, right? The paint is so beautiful.
I know. So is it the same pleasure that you get from the real one, or is it a different kind of pleasure?
This one's more fun.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like it. The real one, we get wet and the paint where we're working, we get wet and maybe bleach.
Yeah, oh.
So this one is more nice.
Yeah. $25, it could be yours. That's so good, man.
Most of us think of spring as the time for blossoms and blooms. But as Mo Rocca reminds us, come summer and fall, the sunflower shines bright.
Who is responsible for this?
Well, I'm responsible for planting them. She's responsible for putting it on Facebook.
This field of sunflowers is courtesy of Ted and Chris Grinter.
It looks like it goes on forever out there, and it's really pretty.
It is breathtaking when the whole field is in bloom and you just see that sea of yellow.
That sea of yellow has made Grinter Farms in Lawrence, Kansas, one of the state's most popular spots for sunflower lovers. Thousands visit each year.
So tell me about the kinds of people who come here.
All kinds, from everywhere, all over the world, really.
One day I met somebody from Australia, Russia, and China in 5 minutes.
So many people tried coming in 2016, it caused a 10-mile backup on the highway. The Grinters dubbed it Carmageddon.
We broke the interstate.
Mm-hmm. People talk about breaking the internet. You broke the interstate.
Yes. I got a call, an angry call from a sheriff that said, you have to close it down. And I said, sir, it's a field.
Back in the 1970s, Ted's father hoped to turn sunflowers into biofuel. When that idea went bust, he started harvesting the seeds for bird feed.
You have this big field, but it only exists for how long?
Maybe 2 weeks.
Soon after, Ted joined the family business.
This one's just opening up.
About 1 million seeds are planted each summer. By early September, they're picture perfect.
We heard about it like online, I think, a lot, and a lot of my friends come out here, post pictures on Instagram and stuff.
The couple doesn't charge admission, but there is a donation box. Leave $1, take a flower.
Well, I farm 2,000 acres. I don't make a living off the sunflowers. I mean, it's more of a hobby that's kind of taken over. If you look around and you see all the smiles on people's faces, we're making a lot of memories.
Fun fact, sunflowers are heliotropic. As they grow, they follow the sun each day through the sky. But after they bloom, they're fixed facing east. And sunflower is something of a misnomer, since each head contains up to thousands of tiny flowers known as florets.
About 5,000 years ago, they became cultivated into these giant sunflowers that we kind of see today.
Caitlin Eckerd says sunflowers originated in what's now North America, grown by indigenous people. She oversees educational programming at Powell Gardens near Kansas City.
They would use the oil for like their hair, the seeds they would obviously eat.
And the stems.
Yeah, it's really strong. They used it as a building material, believe it or not.
In the late 1800s, sunflowers flexed their political muscle, becoming a symbol of women's suffrage.
You'll see those campaign pins typically show a sunflower. It became that symbol moving forward.
Now, Kansas may be the sunflower state, but sunflowers are grown across the country. North Dakota actually produces the most. And take a look at these flowers in the Garden State of New Jersey. But only in Ellsworth, Wisconsin, will you find sunflowers like these.
So this is Big Bird. She's so thick, and as it opens up, it looks like Big Bird.
Steve Coffer is known as Sunflower Steve. That's also the name of his seed company.
That can be a cool fall color, a chocolate double flowering sunflower.
Coffer fell into the cut flower business after losing his advertising job in 1999. Traditional sunflowers eventually became his bread and butter. But in 2007, Coffer noticed a rogue sunflower growing in one of his fields.
It's got golden maroon in it. I said, I'd never seen anything like that.
He took 12 seeds from that lone flower and planted them the next year.
10 of them were really ugly looking. They just looked terrible, but one of them looked just like the parent plant, and the other one was this dark, dark maroon with a little bit of lemon in it. So we're gonna take our high-tech insemination equipment.
Getting these flowers to reproduce is no small feat.
Couldn't you just get some bees to do this?
I do have bees to do this, but I don't want them to share it with all the other flowers. I want to kind of try to control who gets what.
You're controlling.
Experimentation like this has given birth to blooms like Gigi, Lamar, Marley, and Maleficent.
When you're doing this, what are you? Are you like a doctor, a mad scientist, or?
You know, I think I just have a natural curiosity to think, what if?
Sunflower Steve now only sells seeds, and in very limited batches, mostly to home gardeners.
Well, it's the only place in the world that exists. So, I mean, when you have something nobody else has, you do have an advantage. But it's taken 15 years to get there.
Coffer puts his original sunflowers to good use, making murals that have become hits on Instagram.
As a child of the 80s, I love the Pac-Man.
Yeah,
that one is great.
For Easter, I had to make the Jesus fish. And when they were done with it, my daughter calls me up and says, hey, Dad, can we turn that into a shark? So they made this big, giant, 25-foot long great white shark out of sunflowers.
Steve Coffer has learned to be patient. Not everything is a success. But he says his happiness comes from spreading happiness.
When I see them and I think they're cool, and then somebody who's never seen it before is just blown away by it, it just, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that feeling when I saw that flower the first time too.
Along with the question over which TV show or movie to watch, increasingly there's another pressing question. Closed captions off or on? David Pogue spells it out.
There are a lot of TVs in the Pennsylvania household of Jason and Marilyn McMunn.
We have about 10.
We have a lot of TVs.
And out of the 10, how often are you watching with subtitles turned on?
Pretty much if the TV's on, the subtitles are on.
They're not unusual. Over half of Americans keep subtitles turned on some or all of the time, especially younger people. Technically, the term subtitles means translations into your language. But these days, people use the word subtitles to refer to closed captions, which were invented to help the hard of hearing.
And you, sir, should have surrendered when the empire collapsed.
But the McMunn's hearing is just fine. They keep subtitles on for all kinds of other reasons.
The parrot will be screaming, the kids will be doing stuff. It's a little bit of a circus.
I found that I was missing things, so with the subtitles, it just made that all a lot easier.
Also, because we're seeing more actors with accents.
That broomstick trick only works in old films.
I'd like to watch some of the British mystery things, and sometimes they're hard to understand.
And because thin TVs have thin speakers, usually firing out the back. As a kid, at bedtime, Rihanna even had a secret reason for turning on subtitles.
I'd turn the sound all the way down and I would turn on the subtitles. That way I could still watch my little YouTube videos without getting caught.
But according to the experts, the biggest reason of all for the rise of subtitles is this.
Dialogue is getting harder to hear.
Oscar winner Tom Fleischman has mixed the sound for some very famous movies. It's his job to balance the levels of the various audio tracks.
Paulie hated phones. You wouldn't have one in his house.
You got rain, you got pop music, you got dialogue.
Yeah, it was a real dance doing this mix.
But advancing technology has made his job harder. Decades ago, there was one microphone overhead.
Actors were trained on stage, and they had to let the audience hear them. With the advent of lapel mics, acting styles have changed. There's a lot of whispering. And, when they talk like this.
Kids are the only thing that matter, Maggie. You're the only reason for this old man-woman drama.
Wait, what did he say?
Kids are the only thing that matter, Maggie. You're the only reason for this old man-woman drama.
The invention of digital sound recording didn't help either.
Suddenly, we were able to run 200 tracks at once. A lot of layering, a lot of sound effects, a lot of music. It makes it harder to get the dialogue to read through it.
Finally, in this era of too much TV, often there's too little time and money.
You have to cut corners. You just can't spend enough time making sure every syllable is there in a word.
But does it ever happen that you send the final mix off knowing in the back of your head, well, that one line, no one's going to get?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Happens a lot.
Well, on behalf of the world, thank you for doing whatever you can do to make this stuff intelligible.
I'm trying.
Here we go.
And then there's the Christopher Nolan problem.
And action.
The dialogue in the movies he directs is famously unintelligible, whether it's Oppenheimer,
Fred calling to tell you the implosion test failed.
Hello, Hans. Yes, he's here.
Dunkirk,
She's turning, you must have damaged her.
Where's the scarf?
or The Dark Knight.
None of this evil rising from where we try to bury it.
Nolan has said he sometimes likes to use dialogue as a sound effect, so we get this.
We're working our way back to the 14th, but without knowing where the dead drop is, there's only so much I can do.
Streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime began adding captions to all their shows in the 2010s under pressure from the National Association of the Deaf. The subtitling profession got a huge boost.
I like to watch an episode or a movie through at least once. As the playback is continuing, I'm typing the captions in, I'm typing the subtitles in, I'm adjusting timing.
Jeff Toshige, through a subtitling contractor, writes the captions for Netflix shows like Stranger Things. His exuberant descriptions of sound effects have earned a cult following.
Oh, tentacles undulating moistly, there it is, boom! This became a viral...
Yeah, it definitely elicited some reactions.
All right, so I'm gonna try something.
Sure.
I would like you to close your eyes,
Okay.
and I'm gonna make some weird noises. So,
Okay.
And I want you to tell me what you would say.
Okay.
Okay? All right, so
Here's the first noise.
Okay. Erratic clattering.
That's good. Okay, here's your second cue.
Okay. Furtive wickering.
Furtive wickering! Woo, man! You are a poet. So now you know why the world's gone subtitle crazy. Because you're in a noisy place. Because you can't understand the actors.
You wanted me to pass a tide of a
Because your speakers are terrible. Because there wasn't time or budget for proper sound mixing. Because the subtitles can add to the storytelling. Because the director was Christopher Nolan. And sometimes because you're hard of hearing. Is there a downside to having the subtitles on?
Yeah, I just don't like the interference with the picture.
If the subtitles are on, I find myself reading instead of watching and listening.
But otherwise, for the McMunn family, there's no going back. So let's say you win the audiovisual lottery and they buy you fancy surround sound systems for every TV in the house and the audio quality is no longer an issue. Do you think you would still turn the subtitles on?
Yes, I would.
I would.
I don't think I could stop now.
This morning, we're going fishing with Elizabeth Palmer.
Just a hint of food can start a feeding frenzy at the Niigata Koi Museum.
They look fierce and determined, partly beautiful and partly scenes from a nightmare.
They can't bite, though. Their teeth are way back in their throats. In fact, koi carp are loved and admired, especially for their size and bright markings. With the right food and care, they can live for decades. In traditional Japanese art, they are graceful symbols of luck and longevity.
Originally, wild koi were nothing like these. They were mostly black and used for food in the Japanese countryside. But about 100 years ago, farmers began to breed them to bring out the colored markings.
What began as a hobby became big business. Japan exported almost $50 million worth of koi last year.
It's almost like magic, you can say, to create a fish like this. And then
Ben Plonsky is president of Laguna Koi Ponds of California and a judge at the annual All Japan Koi Show in Tokyo. Basically, it's a fish beauty pageant that draws connoisseurs from all over the world. This yard-long female won Best in Show.
So when you were judging this, what were you looking for and what impressed you? Size, I get it.
It's a fish first, so it has to have good body conformation and you can say bone structure.
And of course, those colored splotches.
And the pattern needs to fit the fish like on the face area, it needs to be like a cute face, maybe a hat or a beret, something kind of cute and unique because this is his face, this is where he greets you. Right. So this is what you first see and fall in love with is their face.
In winter, snow blankets the mud ponds of Nishigata in northern Japan, where baby koi start out. But breeder Shigeyoshi Tanaka has moved them, now mature, safely indoors.
Do you have a favorite?
Oh, many favorites in here.
In Japanese, they're called nishikigoi, brocaded carp, like swimming jewels.
Just try to touch.
But they're simpler to admire than to wrangle.
She don't like it.
She doesn't like me.
But she definitely knew a safe pair of hands. Tanaka's koi are famous, and a group of buyers from Thailand have arrived to make an order. Once upon a time, most koi customers were Japanese. No longer. These days, many of the best fish will be shipped to the U.S., which is the second largest koi importer in the world. Why is that? Partly it's space. America, unlike Japan, has room for koi fish ponds.
She's cute.
But there's something else. Just ask Ben Plonsky.
Come here, look at baby. They're so gentle. There's plenty of people who love dogs and love cats and a lot of people who love fish.
Seduced by that old koi charisma.
Of all our national holidays, it's possible none embraces the idea of comfort food more than Thanksgiving. But why do we find dishes like these more comforting than others? Susan Spencer has some food for thought.
Sugar pie, I'm always thinking about you.
This bakery in Vermont is home to 50 different types of pie, each one somebody's favorite comfort food.
You were quoted as saying, if comfort food were an Olympic sport, I'd be a contender.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'd get a gold medal. Well, I love to envision different varieties of comfort foods and then make them into pies.
From classic apple to maple cream, a key ingredient is nostalgia, says Suzanne Tomlinson, the owner of Poorhouse Pies. Take the chicken pot pie.
So chicken pot pie is one of my very favorite comfort foods, and it's probably because my mom used to make it with me, and I still remember her, and I remember the smell of her kitchen and her hands making it, and it connects me to her.
But what defines a food as a comfort food?
I think something that gives you that warm and fuzzy feeling like, oh, my stress is going to be relieved, and I'm going to remember a time when I felt safe and loved.
How many pies do you make a day?
Anywhere from 150 on our slower days to up to over 1,000 around the holidays.
Every pie contains memories, but certainly that's not all it contains. Is there anything that you couldn't put in a pie?
I don't think so. This is our pulled pork mac and cheese pie.
This is a mac and cheese pie.
Yeah, and as you can see, this sucker weighs 3.5 pounds. So you're feeding your family with that.
That's right, pulled pork mac and cheese pie. And no, it will not be found in the lean cuisine aisle.
You're not going to run a marathon after eating that.
Certainly not.
No.
You're not ever going to run another marathon.
Ever again.
Do all comfort foods have high sugar, high fat, salt?
When we think comfort food, we don't see people reaching out for broccoli. And
Dr. Uma Naidu, an author and nutritional psychiatrist, says the sugar in comfort food hits our brains in the same pleasure center as street drugs do, making us feel instantaneously happy.
And sugar is almost more powerful in certain studies than cocaine.
That's an amazing assertion, that sugar's as powerful as cocaine.
When someone tells me that they're addicted to sugar, I do take them seriously.
Being addicted to comfort food usually means eating more of it, which she says is, of course, a bad idea.
In the short term, you may feel calmer or better, but in the longer term, it's going to wreck your mental clarity, your focus, your cognition, and actually, you won't feel good.
Is there a culture that has comfort foods that are not high in fat and sugar?
So if you look at kimchi or bibimbap, these are Korean comfort foods, let's say, right? And these have, vegetables incorporated into them and at their core. Then you also have, Indian cuisine like dal, that's like a lentil dish. And the spices are so delicious. It's a nice plant-based option.
Plant-based option is a key refrain for Stephanie Sassos.
This is comfort food season, right?
That's right.
A registered dietitian and head of the Good Housekeeping Institute Nutrition and Fitness Lab.
We are making roasted cauliflower mashed potatoes.
This is not on everyone's list for comfort food.
No.
She says most comfort food, even a butter-laden classic like mashed potatoes, can be made healthier by a simple tweak or two. In this case, just add cauliflower.
But is the key here just sort of not mentioning this?
I mean, I think it depends on the crowd, right?
Yeah.
You could do a surprise. Let's see what everyone thinks afterwards.
Surprise, cauliflower.
The true surprise was in the tasting. Really.
It's actually pretty good.
It's not bad.
No, but it's got to be better than not bad.
Right.
I think it is. So how do you feel about comfort food?
I love them. I love comfort foods. I think they're
You're not
great.
supposed to admit that.
No, I'm only human.
Sugar pie, I live in it.
What message would you have to comfort food lovers as Thanksgiving approaches?
Enjoy in moderation. Make them with someone you love. Pass it on. They are passed from generation to generation. I love to feed people their comfort foods.
My sugar pie.